Under the cover of night, using spades as oars and a boat they'd taken from a seaside hut and inflated with their own breath, two young men set off from France to reach the UK. A little after 1 a.m. this morning, one of them was found with hypothermia on a French beach. He told authorities that their inflatable had capsized and that his companion, who could not swim, might still be in the water. 7 hours later, he was found dead. We now know he was from Sudan and just 16. The Home Secretary responded on Twitter, saying it was a tragic loss of life, a brutal reminder of the abhorrent criminal gangs and people smugglers who exploit vulnerable people. But those working with people in the camps in Calais dispute the claim that this is the direct work of smugglers.
Most of the young boys in Sudan, they don't have any money. And one of the most horrible things that we've seen over the last few months is that as more people have made it across, the ones who don't have money, they have to watch this. They have to sit there and watch the people who've got money and can pay smugglers get across to the UK. And what that does is make them take greater and greater risks. So that's why we've seen people come across in little wooden rowing boats with no engines, in inflatable kayaks, the people who've taken desperate risks trying to swim, or we even heard of somebody coming in a paddling pool.
In recent weeks, the UK government has intensified its resolve to stop people making the crossing after a record number have come this year. They've drawn up plans to bring in the Navy and blamed France for not doing more to stop people from leaving their shores.
And we are doing on the French side everything we can to stop these people to cross the channel. We've built wires, walls. We are operating cameras, drones every night. We've got police officers patrolling the French seaside, the French shore every hour of every day. But, it only takes 5 minutes for migrants like this to go at sea.
What is the solution then?
British authorities need to give the possibility to migrants to claim for asylum in the UK while they are in France, in Greece, in Italy, in Europe, in continental Europe.
What did you think when you heard the news this morning?
It was horrible. It was horrible. The first thing that I thought was of every boy that I knew, where are they? Is it one of them? Could it be the boy I was talking to yesterday? Could it be the boy that I was with last week? It's horrible.
And do you know yet if it was?
The ones that I know the best, I've located this morning. But that's false, isn't it? Because yes, it's not the ones that I know personally, but it's still one of them. And it doesn't. None of them deserve this. None of them deserve it. None of them deserve to be this scared. None of them deserve to have to take these risks. None of them deserve to be this alone, and none of them deserve to drown. None of them.
Even with the news of the first known migrant death in the Channel this year, dozens still made the crossing today. The desperation to reach these shores epitomised through this unknown teenager from a faraway land, dying in the dark of the night, trying to get here.
Well, joining me now is Labour peer and campaigner for refugees and asylum seekers Lord Alf Dubs and the Conservative MP Tim Loughton. Tim Loughton first. The Calais MP Pierre-Henri Dumont asked how many more tragedies will it take for the British to regain an ounce of humanity. What is your answer to that question?
Well, the first thing to say, Kathy, is this is a real tragedy, and our thoughts are with the family of the young Sudanese boy, and particularly with the friend of his who was fortunately picked up. I'm just gobsmacked, and I've heard Pierre-Henri Dumont say what he said today, and I was on a radio programme with him the other day, blaming Britain for what is a French problem, and they think that they're going to solve the problem by making it a British problem. For him to say that they're doing everything they can day in, day out, clearly they're not doing nearly enough. We have spent a fortune in taxpayers' money sending British police across to help patrol the borders, sharing intelligence to try and break some of these people trafficking gangs. We've paid for fences and everything else. Now, that may help, but what will solve this problem is stopping them getting across the channel by the French authorities turning the boats back and taking them back to France, or allowing British Border Force to take the migrants back to France, to make it very clear that if you're going to pay people smugglers, in most cases, a large amount of money, to make a really dangerous journey, you're going to end up where you started, so it's not worth trying. Don't bother to do it again. And if we did that,
okay,
which
Lord
is what
Dubs,
the French agreed to do, we would solve it.
Let me bring in Lord Dubs to respond to that then. I mean, you fled the Nazis at age 6. You were given refuge in Britain. Do you think that Britain has lost its humanity?
Well, we could be doing better, but I am shocked by what this French politician said. I mean, blaming it all on Britain. I think the only way to deal with this is for us to cooperate with the French, to help the French even more to catch the traffickers. But at the same time, we should say to the French, and we're willing to take some of the young people who are there, particularly if they've got family here, and we need better French cooperation in order to do that. So I think the more legal paths there are to safety, the less likely it is that people will resort to this dangerous crossing across the channel.
Well, Tim Loughton, isn't that the point, that it's got to be a cooperative thing between Britain and France? And as there is this political spat going on, lives are at stake, as we've tragically seen today.
I agree. And look, Alf and I are on the same side on this. Alf and I have visited refugee camps in Jordan. We've seen Syrian refugees. We've been to the United Nations to plead this case. He and I are trying to extend the family reunion scheme to make sure that there are more safe routes. But look, we've got a pretty good record on this. The UK has been taking more refugees, genuine refugees from outside the EU, genuinely escaping war zones, than any other EU country since 2016. We've taken over 25,000, including under the Dubs scheme, which Alf initiated. And we've been taking genuinely vulnerable people. Over half of them have been children. What is happening now is people who are getting into boats, in many cases paying £4,000 to people traffickers, are effectively queue jumping genuine asylum seekers who we owe a debt to and can give a safe passage and a safe home to, because they go through the proper processes. And frankly, it's appalling that the French are allowing people to endanger their lives. That's where the lack of humanity is, I'm afraid.
Lord Dubs, it's the people smugglers who are the bogeymen here. The UK government has got a proud record on this. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, I agree with Tim on many things, but I think we could have a prouder record than we have. We've taken fewer than I thought we should have done. We could take more if we had more of a commitment. We can't take everybody, but we can do a bit more and take our share of responsibility. That's all I'm arguing. But the particular issue is often those young people who've got family here, and there's some of those in northern France and indeed on the Greek islands. And if we've got family here, surely everybody would agree family reunion is the right thing, and we should help them to come and join their families over here. Then we can take some of the others.
And Tim Loughton, that's going to be much harder after Brexit, isn't it? Because of the family reunion has been diluted in the Brexit bill.
Well, and that's why Alf and I are on absolutely the same side of this, that we want to make sure that the family reunion scheme, which operates now under Dublin, can operate in the same terms after Brexit. But look, remember also, we've spent £2.5 billion, I think it is, of British taxpayers' money, helping Syrian refugees and others in those refugee camps in Jordan and Turkey, places close to Syria, giving them really important help, more than any other country bar the US. And most of the people who we are giving safe passage and a safe home to in the UK are some of the most vulnerable people, particularly young children, taken from those camps and put in homes to make a second chance of a safe upbringing in the UK. And that's something I'm really proud of. Doing it this way, and I think we could extend that. And I agree with Alf, we might be a bit more generous. Absolutely. We are already the most generous in Europe. But allowing these boats to come across in such a dangerous way, allowing people to queue jump and being accused of lacking humanity by the French authorities, who are allowing unaccompanied vulnerable children to roam around Calais. If that were happening in Dover, we would have picked them up. They would be in the care of social services, and we would have registered all those people, and we'll be processing their applications. That should be happening in France now. They're just trying to make their problem our problem. Of course we need to cooperate, but don't blame us, for goodness sake.
Just a final word, very briefly, Tim Loughton, on the rhetoric, the talk of an invasion. It's shameful. Do you agree with the words used by your Conservative colleagues, including the Home Secretary?
Look, we could also say the words that Mr. Dumas used about lacking humanity and British carelessness and everything else don't help. And the talk of gunboats and things like that is not really the answer to the problem. We have been cooperating. We have been working with the French authorities. We have been paying the French authorities to try and tackle this problem. But the underlying problem is that people think there's a good chance they can get across the channel. That is a pull factor. Making it even easier, as the French now want, would mean that Mr. Dumont wouldn't just have thousands of people in his constituency in Calais, he would have tens of thousands of people chancing their arm to get across the channel. It's completely the wrong solution. The French just need to take these people back, to have them processed in French territory, safe territory as it is, and their future decided. And those who have a legitimate case to be in the UK can claim asylum and come to the UK, but do it the right way.
Tim Loughton, Lord Dubs, thank you both very much for joining me.